Every serious athlete you have ever admired had one thing in common that nobody talks about. They trained in silence, not because they could not afford headphones, not because they disliked music, because they had discovered something about silence that Seneca wrote about 2,000 years ago, and that most modern athletes will never learn. Silence is not the absence of noise. It is the presence of power. Today we break it down in 5 minutes. Seneca wrote one of the most powerful sentences about noise ever recorded. He said, "Recede in te ipse quantum potes," withdraw into yourself as much as you can. He wrote this letter while living above a bathhouse in Rome, surrounded by the noise of shouting, splashing, music, and constant human activity. And his conclusion about what all that noise was doing to his philosophical practice was devastating. Noise prevents depth, not because noise is physically harmful, but because depth, genuine depth of focus, of effort, of mind-muscle connection, of philosophical presence, requires sustained, uninterrupted attention. And sustained, uninterrupted attention is precisely what noise is designed to prevent. The athlete training with music and podcasts and phone notifications is training at the surface of their capability. Their attention is divided between the training and the stimulation, and divided attention, as we explored with Marcus Aurelius on focus, produces divided results. The athlete training in complete silence has access to something fundamentally different. Their entire attentional capacity is available to this movement, this rep, this breath, this exact sensation in the working muscle. For the Stoic athlete, silence is not a preference. It is a performance tool. Seneca withdrew into himself to access depths of philosophical insight that the noise around him was preventing. You withdraw into silence to access depths of training quality that the noise around you is preventing. Remove the noise. Find the depth. Seneca wrote, "Omnia aliena sunt, tempus tantum nostrum est." Everything else belongs to others. Time alone is ours. In the context of silence, everything outside belongs to others. The music belongs to the artist. The podcast belongs to the host. The notification belongs to whoever sent it. The conversation belongs to whoever started it. The silence belongs to you, and in that silence, things become audible that the noise was drowning out. Your breathing pattern under load, telling you whether your cardiovascular system is working efficiently or struggling. Your muscle fatigue signals, telling you which muscles are working and which are compensating. Your form breakdown cues, telling you exactly when your technique begins to deteriorate. Your mental state, telling you whether you are present or absent from this training session. These signals exist during noisy training too, but the noise buries them. You cannot hear what your body is telling you when you are filling your ears with someone else's voice. Seneca spent his life listening to himself, to his own thoughts, his own philosophy, his own moral reasoning, because he understood that the most important information available to him was internal, and internal information requires internal quiet to hear. For the Stoic athlete, silence reveals the conversation your body is trying to have with you about your training. Learn to listen to it. Train in silence for one complete session this week. No music, no podcast, no phone. Just you and the training. Notice what you hear. Seneca wrote, Vindica te tibi. Claim yourself for yourself. The athlete who cannot train without external stimulation has not claimed themselves. They are dependent on the music to generate energy, on the podcast to pass the time, on the noise to avoid the discomfort of internal quiet. And that dependence is a form of weakness that Seneca would identify immediately, because the ability to be alone with yourself, truly alone, in genuine internal quiet, is one of the most demanding and most revealing practices available to any human being. What does the athlete who trains in silence discover about themselves? They discover whether they genuinely want to be there, because the music was hiding the answer. They discover what their mind does when it has no external content to consume, whether it finds presence or generates avoidance. They discover whether their effort is intrinsically motivated or whether it requires external stimulation to exist. These discoveries are not comfortable. They are enormously valuable. For the Stoic athlete, the discipline of chosen silence means one progressive practice. Week 1. Train the last 10 minutes of every session in complete silence. Week 2. Train the last 20 minutes in complete silence. Week 3. Train the entire session in complete silence. By week 4, you will have discovered things about your training motivation, your focus capacity, and your relationship with discomfort that years of noisy training never revealed. Seneca claimed himself through silence. Claim yourself the same way. Seneca wrote, Inimica est multorum conversatio. The companionship of the many is harmful. He was not prescribing isolation. He was prescribing selective silence, the deliberate withdrawal from the constant noise of many voices to access the single most important voice available, your own. Marcus Aurelius called the destination of this withdrawal the inner citadel, the unassailable fortress of the trained mind, where no external noise can penetrate, and genuine strength is built. The athlete who trains in silence regularly is building access to this inner citadel. They are developing the capacity to find depth within themselves, regardless of external conditions. This has an extraordinary, practical implication. The athlete who needs noise to train well will perform poorly in silent conditions. In competition, in early morning training, before anyone else arrives, in the moments when external stimulation is unavailable, the athlete who has trained in silence will perform identically in any conditions, because their performance is sourced from within, not from external stimulation that may or may not be present. Seneca's inner life was so rich and so developed that noise could not disturb it. Build your inner training life with the same depth, through the same practice. Train in silence. Build the citadel. Perform anywhere. Seneca withdrew into himself above a Roman bathhouse and produced some of the most powerful philosophy ever written, not despite the noise around him, because he had built an inner world so silent and so deep that the outer noise had lost all power to penetrate it. Here are his 4 principles of silence for the Stoic athlete. 1. Noise prevents depth. Remove it. Find the depth that has been waiting underneath it. 2. Silence reveals. Your body is talking to you during every training session. You cannot hear it over the noise. Listen. 3. Chosen silence is discipline. Build it progressively. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, full sessions. Claim yourself from the noise. 4. Silence builds the inner citadel. Train from within, not from without. Perform anywhere because your source is internal. The most powerful athletes train in silence, not because silence is comfortable, because power lives there. This is Stoic athlete. Train your body. Master your mind. Train in silence. Sue for a new video every week. Seneca is waiting.